This was a first meeting which was spread over 2 days. As I had briefed you yesterday that there were 5 important items on the agenda. Some of them we were able to dispose of yesterday. One unfinished item on the agenda yesterday was with regard to the exemption threshold. Now the Constitution amendment itself carves out an exemption for Northeast and the 3 hill states. And therefore we had flagged the issue as to what the exemption figures threshold should be. We had informally discussed it before the meeting also, and in the meeting it was formally decided that as far as the exemption threshold is concerned, it is fixed at 20 lakh rupees. So those with a turnover of below 20 lakhs annually are exempted from the GST. As far as the northeastern and the hill states are concerned, this exemption limit is fixed at rupees 10 lakhs. The fourth item of agenda which came up for discussion was with regard to the compensation law and the draft compensation formula. Now, a few decisions were taken as to what are the items which are to be included in the revenue. Therefore, all items including cesses would be included in the revenue. That's how the word revenue would be described. The general consensus was that the payment of compensation should be at regular intervals, quarterly or bi-monthly. The third important decision which we took was that the base year for calculation of the compensation would be 2015-16. There is a fourth issue on which several suggestions came up as to what should be the method of projecting the increase in revenue for the next 5 years. Now we've taken all those 3 or 4 suggestions which came up, and it was decided that the officers would in the meanwhile discuss this, and therefore in a future meeting we would then decide which of the various options is the best option. There was an option that we can fix a fixed rate, that this is the projected increase over the next 5 years for each year. Alternatively, we can look at the past and take the past 5 years and select the 3 best out of the 5 years. There was a third proposal that we can pick up the past 5 years and exclude the 2 outliers and take the mid 3. So these kind of suggestions have come up. Now, which is the most appropriate formulation, the officers will discuss and make a presentation in the next meeting itself. The fifth and the last item is with regard to dual control. Because under the GST, with regard to VAT, excise duties and the service tax, there will be only one assessment now being done. So who assesses which assessees? Because centre and state government also both have jurisdiction in the matter, and this is a concurrent jurisdiction. Now this has been a very complicated issue which the empowered committee has been discussing over the last several months also. So finally we decided that as far as all assessees below rupees 1.5 crores are concerned, turnover that is, the assessment would be by the officials of the states. These even today are those people who are being assessed to VAT. and that is a state taxation. And therefore, the present status quo would continue. Above 1.5 crores, there will be an assessment which is possible for the purposes of central excise by center, for VAT by the state. And therefore, this category, which accounts for bulk of the revenue, there would be an element of dual control, and there would be a cross empowerment of the officers of the center and the state governments. Which assessee is assessed by whom will be decided on the basis of a formulation, namely the risk assessment by both the center and the state, and which of the two authorities has a higher risk assessment would assess it. And then how that assessee's control would change subsequently, these are minor details which the officers in the minutes that they will draw out, they will in the scheme draw out a final analysis. There is one more category, that is about 11 lakh service tax assessees, where the expertise for assessment is with the center. The present lot would continue to be assessed by the center, but in due course, competence and ability of the state officers would also be developed in this, and therefore future additions would be shared. And this arrangement of these 11 lakhs being assessed by the center would continue till the scheme is altered, after we have a training program as far as the states are concerned, because the states still have to be trained for this particular purpose. And therefore, the details of this, the finer details, the fine print would eventually be worked out, but the principles have been completely agreed in the the committee. We have now one major issue and two incidental issues which are left. We'll be meeting on the 30th of this month once again, where we'll finalize and approve the draft rules which are being prepared by the officers. There are 5 categories of rules. How are the exemptions to be implemented? For instance, Northeast, hill states, there are some area-wise exemption and some industry-wise exemptions that the states have given. Would they not be charged, or would they be charged and then the DBT process would apply? So these two issues would be discussed on the 30th. Hopefully we'll try and conclude these issues on the 30th. And that then will leave one major issue to be decided, which is the issue of the rates and the slabs. The officers would be completing their exercise in the meanwhile, and for that purpose we'll be meeting on the 17th, 18th and 19th of October, and hopefully trying to finalize those cases. So therefore, as far as dual control is concerned, below 1.5 lakhs state, above 1.5 lakhs with both, and 11 lakh service tax crores, and above 11 lakh service tax assessees for the present with the center.